Okay, so here I'm going to show how to download public datasets like the CDC dataset and have it read by RStudio software. So you can search for any datasets, not just the CDC, but I'm going to show the CDC datasets. One that I am very aware and familiar right now is the National Ambulatory Medical Survey datasets. So you can just Google search NAMCS data and the one reliable link which pops up, you can just click on that. Look for the data sets like questionnaire data sets highlighted here. All these data sets by CDC are recorded under National Center for Health Statistics, and you can read the theory about that, but we're just going to go more on applied aspects. So you can click on this questionnaire and then you can read. There are several things like survey instruments and other information, but I would just show how to get into the dataset. Once you click on this, you can see the downloadable data files by year, and these are the two different NAMCS and NHAMCS datasets. This is the most raw form of the dataset, and then you can see the data. Notice that they might announce, they might see some problems in data and all those things. Data documentations where you can see more, read more about the variables, data dictionary, all those kind of stuffs. And again, down below we have the SAS documentation and datasets. So that's particularly designed for SAS software. So you can click on this and you can see all the information that is required if you decide to import this dataset in SAS software. And we're going to go in a little bit detail in a minute. SAS, then again we have the SPS. You can click on the NAMCS and that will show the files and documents, datasets and documents for SPSS and similarly for the Stata. So once you have this, one for SAS, one for SPSS and one for Stata, you can just decide based on which software you're familiar with. You can download those particular datasets and work on that. If you decide to work on R, and all these datasets can be interchangeably used in other softwares. So for example, I can pull any of these datasets and read in the RStudio. Okay, so I'm going to show that how to read these SAS, then SPSS, and then Stata datasets in RStudio. So I'm going to download one dataset. You can see there are several README documents that you might want to read before using the dataset in per se. But I'm going to go ahead and download 2018 datasets. That is SAS.zip file. It's a compressed file. So if you need to decompress that, you have to do that. So I've downloaded some other data sets, so I'm gonna delete that for now. So you can see that the SAS datasets is up here. So what I'm going to do is when you open the RStudio, this is how it looks like. If you don't know how to download the RStudio, please check out the other video. I'm going to link that YouTube video link in the description below. So this is the R environment. If you're coming here first time, these are the 4 different panes we have. This is where you literally code whatever is on the main code is, and at the end you save and the code gets saved. This is the console, and we have terminal and job, but really it's similar to if you're a SAS user, you can consider this as a log where you can see all the errors after the command, but you can also type some syntax like getting frequency of any particular variable that you may not want to be part of the main code, but randomly check once in a while during the analysis. You can do that and click the command enter, that's for run, or you can also create run over here and it will execute the command. Right now it's not in the current form because we don't have anything in here like datasets and everything, but it will execute the commands. The only thing how it differs from this main pane over here is that in this particular pane, whatever you type, it's temporary, so it's not going to get saved once you save R script. This is the another pane. Usually it will look like, I will just remove what I had previously. This is the environment where you can see all the imported data sets and objects and all the other things. This is the file menu where you can give the location, assign the location for your file that you're looking for. And if you have the plot commands running in this main code, gplot or something like that, if you run that and if R needs to show you the graph, it will show up here. You can expand and also export them in various different formats, most common being image and PDF. And you can also give high definition formats for image is here, like .tiff. So that's just the introduction to familiar with the RStudio environment. Let's now dive into how to get the data sets. So the first thing when you are in the RStudio is you can just create a new script. You can click on this top left hand corner R script and it creates a new script. Okay, so that's how you can create those new scripts. I'm not going to create one because I already have one over here. So once you have the script ready, you can start writing your code, RStudio code and so on. Whenever you write anything after the hashtag over here, as you can see, R notices that this is the note. These are your notes and not the code. Okay, so these will remain as your notes. So you can just keep note. Okay, this is where I'm installing packages, for example. So the first thing is always you have to install all the required packages and then set working directory and then call the dataset into the R environment. So for reading some of the different data forms like SAS, SPSS, and Stata, there is a package called foreign. So you have to install that, and this is the command. Make sure you have this particular format of double quotation and not that Times Roman format with that particular sign that you can find on Word document or even on the web pages. And that's like the curved form, like the curved form of the double quotation versus this square quotations, kind of. So R doesn't recognize that, so you have to have it in this particular quotations, and then you can just command enter. So I'm not going to do that because I already did it, but you can also click the run over here and you can see after execution that this package was downloaded there. So once you install the package, you have to call the package. So it's like running them, and then you can run by this particular command, library, and then the name of the package in the parentheses. You can also go to the packages on this particular tab if it's already installed and just do the check mark, and then R will read that automatically over here. Okay, so we need these packages, so I'm going to do that. So make sure you do that before you execute any format. So if your data set is in the, for example, .csv format, that's again one of the most common format. This is the syntax. But before diving that, I will show you how to set working directory. So working directory is where your R script is going to get saved and from which directory you're going to pull the data sets. So how do we know that? So you can either go for, if you're in the first time, you can just go in the file tab over here in this particular pane, and then I just downloaded a data set, then SAS datasets that will be somewhere over here. So you just may want to scroll over here and verify that SAS dataset is located in this particular uh, file location. Okay, so I can see the SAS dataset here, and then you can go session set working directory. So from the top, session working directory and to file pane. set working directory to file pane. You can see the set working directory is already there. If you don't know where the location is currently that you're working on, you can also do get working directory, empty parenthesis, and it will show that you are currently working on this particular directory. Okay. Once you know, you can also copy and paste that over here and set it as a working directory. Okay. So that's how you set working directory. Now the R will know that you're working in this particular download folder, and it will pull all the data sets from here. It will also save at the end if required to save the R script or R code in that particular folder. So if you have an not Excel, but if you have an if you have a CSV file, data file, then this is the code. You just call some data set, let's say data CSV, and then this is like equal to sign. So you're saying that this is the data set, and then it should be from this particular format. Okay, so you can either have that, let me correct that, you can either have data CSV and then this arrow and dash and then have the other code, or you can also have data CSV and double equal signs and the same code, and both of these mean same. Okay, but make sure you're not entering only one, it should be two of the equal signs. So for the read.csv, this is header is equal to that true. That means you can you are asking R to import the data sets in from this r.csv file where we have first row as the name of the variables. Okay, so it's going to read the data with the first row as the name of the columns of those variables or variables, and the other rows as the data points, okay, or observations. So if you don't have that, you can select that as a for, but this is the most common form, and you can just click enter and then it should execute. Now I don't have that particular data sets in here, but this will get executed. And similarly, both these commands are same, so you can either use the double equal signs. So if on the other hand your data set is in the SAS format, .SAS, this particular format, and we can see we just downloaded that format from the website. What you have to do is you can just call any particular name. You can also call data SAS, then read underscore SAS, and then in the double quotation you can have the name of that file. Okay, it has to be exactly same. It is a case sensitive as well, so make sure you copy the exact name. And you can just control enter and we can see that our command is executed over here. There is a stop sign, that means the R is still working on that. Once it gets completed, we can see that the code has been read properly. See, now the R sign is gone and you can see the data set over here in the global environment, data SAS as we defined, and there are 9,952 observations and these many variables. Okay, and we don't see any errors over here, and you can usually have it clean so you don't have to so now we know how to read dataset, SAS dataset into R. You can just click on that dataset and it will show exactly the datasets for month and age and all those variables. You can scroll that if required, and you can close that when you are done looking at the dataset. Now if the data file is in this SPSS, you just, or if you have clicked on this SPSS NAMCS format, you can we can download one. 2018. Okay, so download the zip format, which is compressed form, and because the SPSS data formats are .sav and not .sps. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So now I know that this data set is downloaded. We can, if required, get info, but I usually rename and copy the name of the exact file when I read that in the uh, R, and I have already copy pasted the name over here. So again, similar to that of SAS and CSV, we can have any name. I'm going to call data SPSS, then read.spss, and then the name of the data sets in exact format. And then after that, you have the parenthesis, you have the comma, and after comma, we can have the different arguments. Okay, and in this case, I have the argument over here, 2.data.frame equals true. Okay, so there are different kinds of these arguments that we can use. That this particular 2.data frame, that means true if R should treat loaded data as data frame. So basically I'm saying R that read this particular file, save it as a data, and save it as a data frame format. Okay, and there are going to be different arguments that you might want to add, and I'm going to show some how to look at those arguments at the end. So once you have this syntax, just control enter or run, and you can see there is a stop sign. That means R is working on that particular command. And we can see there were 50 or more warnings. Use warnings parentheses to see the first 20. Usually warnings you can ignore. If there is an error, you may want to look at those. But you can see that there are similar observations and similar variables, so this is completely fine. Okay, and you can also click on that data set and it will show you the similar form of data. So it's basically the same 18 years data, but CDC made it available in several different formats. So that's how we read the SPSS dataset. And finally, I'm going to show how to read Stata. So if you are online, and let's say if you clicked on Stata, so NAMCS, these are the Stata files, and you can just look for example, 2080 data set, and there is 2018 NAMCS data.zip. So you might want to download that one, and the Stata format is .dta. And again, you can just copy paste the name if required. You can just rename, copy, and then bring it into the R environment. So you can call again another dataset name. It can be anything, but make sure you don't start with number, because if you start with number, R will recognize. You can see the color is different in a different format. Okay, so start with any letter like this and you should be good. Same thing, so Stata, any dataset name and the name of the file, and then again here we have a different argument over here written as convert factor um, equals false. So factors are by R is nothing but the categorical variables. Okay, so we can read about more regarding this particular argument, but it tells that don't read all. It is telling the R that read this particular data set, which is in .dta format, save it as a data, and don't read by default as all factors, because there could be factors is nothing but categorical variable. So there could be numerical variables and categorical variables. So we don't want to by default read everyone by categorical form. So what it does is convert dot factors, it means true to convert. So we are setting is as false, so it could be false to convert value labels into factors, and because the default is true. Okay, so if you don't mention that, it will be true, and we can read more about that. So if you, for the Stata, if you have all, for the Stata you have to have the heavens package if it's, these are the newer data sets. um, Previously I tried read.dta, and that's from the foreign packages, and it gives you error, not a Stata version. Okay, so these are the newer forms, so that's why I've selected to go with the heaven package, which can read the newer forms. But for the heaven package we can see read.dta. Heaven package, it's a underscore dta, not dot dta, so we have to change that. And also let me just show you dot. If you see in the foreign, we have that convert dot factor is straight true or false option or argument, but in the, oops, in the underscore DTA, that's from heaven, we don't have that kind of argument. So we want to, if we are using underscore DTA, which is required because these are newer data sets and not from the newer, and from the newer Stata, which is not supported by the foreign package. So let's have underscore DTA, and then we have to delete this argument. Okay, so once you do that, you can just run that. We are still working on the we have this stop sign over here, and once we have, we can see there will be no error, and we have to have, we can have the data sets over here. As we can see, there is no error, and the data Stata 99531038, so same, that means we have successfully imported all those data files into R. So finally, I'm going to show you, since I have not covered these arguments in details, what we can do is, for any form of data set, we can just read more in details about these particular commands. So read.spss, for example, we want to read more about convert.factors, then you can just type read.spss and it should show you, more details. This is from the heavens foreign package, and you can read more about these arguments. There are different arguments, so we have the file, that's the name of the file, and then use.value labels and so on. We can see, we can click on F1. So in Mac, that's function and F1. So when you click function plus F1, you can also see, read more about that. You can see the syntax, how to use that file, what should you enter, and all those other descriptions. Okay, so similarly you can also do it for, let's say, for Stata. So you can have read underscore DTA, and the read underscore DTA is and read SAS underscore SAS is from heavens package, and I didn't show that before, but you have to install this heavens package and then call the library for heaven in order to work it out. Okay, uh, the reason I did use this heavens package, because if you try to use foreign package to read, let's say, Stata data sets, so the command for that is read dot DTA and not underscore. But so you can see from foreign package, it's dot DTA, read dot DTA for Stata reading. But sometimes the data sets are newer, and these packages may not support the newer formats. Okay, that's what the error was, or the warning was. So I have just selected to go for underscore DTA from heavens package. So similarly, again, you can also read more about read.spss, and it will show different options. Again, foreign package .spss, heaven package underscore SPSS. And you may want to select either of those based on the data sets that's recorded. If it's older, I know that for most of that I have tried, foreign packages work. If these are recent ones or orders, heaven packages works for all. So you might want to go with that only. Again, the same thing, F1, you can read more about that. If it's read underscore SAS, you can read that again, and so on. And once this is done, then you can go with your main analysis part.